Welcome back. All right, so we had 5 National Hockey League games today. This one started a long time ago. This one started about 7 hours ago. So if you're a fan of Detroit and you're like, I'd really like to hear how we did, here we go. And if you're a Detroit fan, you already know how they did. You just want to hear somebody else say it. They did well. Now, for the Vegas Golden Knights, it is another setback. And these are two teams that it's really hard to get a read on. For Vegas, they're without, three of their biggest names. Three including, of course, Eichel, who they just acquired from Buffalo. For Detroit, they got Larkin back tonight, and Bertuzzi's in the lineup, and things look pretty good for them. And yet, in the third period, defensively, probably allowed too many shots. So, it was Brossoit versus Greiss. There was an early power play for Vegas. Vegas's power play comes into tonight, of course, 2 for 21. Those 2 goals scored against Montreal last night. Shorthanded 3-on-2. Vegas defends it, and everything gets killed off. And then Raw scores from Pietrangelo and Theodore at 3:48. That was the third shot of the game for the Vegas Golden Knights. The shots were 4-1 in favor of Vegas 5 minutes into this. The Wings would press at 7 minutes. They get a power play, and they score on it. It is Raymond on the power play from Bertuzzi and Zadina at 8:17. The Wings then get a power play. We had a shorthanded 2-on-1, and a shot was saved on that. And then Fabry, he scores from Suter and Leddy at 10:13. So that makes it 2-1 in favor of Detroit, and this is where things start to go kind of bad for the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas press with 6 minutes left. They get a power play. The Wings did kill it off, but it was a good power play. The problem being they didn't get very many more after that. Suter would then score before the period's out from Hronek and Leddy at 18:28, and then Vegas hits a post in the final minute. So it's 3-1 after one. Vegas, not a bad first period, honestly. They outshot Detroit, but almost every good Detroit chance ends up going in. So second period, Suter had a shot that was saved early. There was an early edge to the Wings. Larkin had a net drive. That wouldn't go. Greiss stops the net drive then at 6 minutes. Carrier took a puck to the head. Of course, we've been seeing a lot of that this past couple of weeks here. Vegas presses at the 7-minute mark. Raymond with a net drive, couldn't bury it. And then Nemesnikov scores from Stevens and Gagne at 10:39. And I'm not going to lie, that was not a pretty goal. That was kind of an ugly goal. And it might be the one they had tonight that I thought, Brossoit probably should have saved that one. Vegas gets a power play. This was their third and final. That one was unsuccessful as well. They did press in the final 3 minutes, did Vegas, but we go to the third period with the score 4-1 in favor of the Detroit Red Wings. Early press by Vegas, and eventually they get a goal. Marchessault from Raw on a turnover at 4:25, and it was fired high on Greiss and in the net. So that makes it 4-2. Suter tries to answer. He actually had 2 chances at the net there. Strong pressure then by Vegas. Fabry had a rush chance, which drew a power play. Seider had a shot that goes wide. Vegas did kill it off, but that takes 2 minutes off the clock, right? Rasmussen couldn't bury one. The Wings get a power play. Vegas had a 2-on-1 after the kill, and Pietrangelo fired that wide. They pulled the goaltender with more than 4 minutes left. Greiss denies Riley Smith. And then into the empty net, it's Bertuzzi from Gagne and Hronek at 19:49. So Sam Gagne with a couple of helpers today. Not bad for him. Detroit wins this one 5-2. They go to 6-5-2 on the season. For Vegas, they drop to 6-6. And again, Vegas, it's been one up, one down, and we'll see how this goes for them. And they're just kind of, dragging themselves along until they get one of their big players back. So the shots in this one were 13-7 Vegas in the first, 10-7 Detroit in the second, 20-13 Vegas in the third. Yeah, final shots 40-30 for Vegas. Power plays 0 for 3 for the Golden Knights, 2 for 4 for Detroit. Special teams let Vegas down tonight. The hits were 20-11 for Detroit, so Vegas not getting the hits either. And Brossoit with 25 saves on 29 shots. Greiss with 38 saves on 40 shots. The goaltending was better at the Detroit end. So things look good for Detroit. Back-to-back wins for them. And making themselves relevant in a tough division. The Atlantic is a tough division. All right, next up. We have the Nashville Predators in against the Chicago Blackhawks. So that's the NP there is the Nashville Predators. A logo that they've used as a secondary. Saros versus Lankinen was the matchup. In the first minute, there was a chance for the Preds. In fact, the Preds pressed at 3 minutes. They came out and they were playing well on the road again to start off in this one. Then there was a press by the Hawks at 6 minutes, but that didn't get any shots for Chicago. Saros denies Taves. The shots were 3-1 in favor of Nashville at 9 minutes. The Hawks get a power play. Taves nearly buries one. It's a good power play for Chicago. The Preds killed it off. The shots were now 6-3 in favor of the Hawks. So they'd had 5 shots in a row to that point, and they would get a few more before Nashville got another one. The Hawks had a 3-on-2. Ekholm defends that. Saros stops Kubalik on a break. The chances with 4 minutes left in the first period, the scoring chances were 7-2 in favor of Chicago. Cunnin had a shot blocked. The Predators would push, but were scoreless after 1. So Chicago already looking better. And Derek King just got behind the bench. And I'm just going to say it, Chicago defensively looked good tonight. So second period, good start for the Preds. It draws a power play. Josi fires one wide, and that's killed off by Nashville. Kubalik had a rush. He fires wide, but at 7:15, it's Hagel. He scores from Jones and Taves at 7:15. Tolvanen would then try to answer, and it's Carrier that does at 9:05. So that ties it up at 1 pretty darn quickly, too. Hawks then with a turnover. Johansson, though, mishandled it. Tomasino was denied. Preds wanted the lead. Preds get a power play. That was a no. Chicago killed that off. Another great game for Saros to this point. The Hawks get a power play. That was unsuccessful. Pressed by the Hawks afterwards. The Preds did clear it out, though. Lankinen denies Tolvanen. Last minute, Doc had a chance. That was saved in the Nashville net. So we go to the third period tied at 1. Kubalik had a drive that was saved. The Hawks had the early edge. They wanted it. Josi puts one wide. Kurashev denies a goal. I think that was going in. There was a debate about whether it was going in or going to hit the post. I'll say it was going in, and Kurashev saves a goal there. The Hawks get a power play. Strome was denied. There was some good chances. Saros made 4 fantastic saves on the penalty kill to keep this tied. He really killed it. It wasn't really Nashville. It was Saros. Lankinen then robbed Duchesne. Predators pushed, but they needed more shots. So this was, if they got the pressure, they weren't getting the shots they needed. Kara had a chance that was saved. The Hawks pushed, but we go to overtime. The Predators controlled on the faceoff, not for long. So Josi goes down, and it reminds me of Tage Thompson last night, where he goes down and that leads to a run the other way. Well, it's worse when it's your defenseman. Because what happens is, Josi is now trying to come back. Duchesne and Johansson are trying to play the defense role. Well, that's not their role. And so DeBrincat gets the pass from Kane, and at 38 seconds, he ends this in overtime. Chicago wins 2-1. They go to 2-9-2 on the season. Nashville, with the overtime loss, they drop to 6-5-1. This is the best game Chicago's played this year. I don't think it's close either. The shots were 10-5 Chicago in the first, 8-7 Nashville in the second, 14-8 Chicago in the third. In the overtime, Chicago had the only shot. Final shots, 32-21 for the Hawks. Power plays, 0-2 for Nashville, 0-3 for Chicago. The hits, 40-31 for Chicago. Saros saves 30 out of 32. Lankinen saves 20 out of 21. And yeah, both goalies played pretty darn well. But that defense for Chicago was very good tonight. So I've slammed that defense when it's needed to be slammed. I will compliment it tonight. It looked good. Some really solid plays out there overall from that blue line. And we'll see whether or not they can keep that going. Next up, the Islanders. So the New York Islanders in against the Minnesota Wild. And both teams relatively hot coming into this game. So we knew this could be fun or it could be boring. And it kind of turned out to be both. An Islanders game started it, and then a Wild game finished it. So it was Varlamov versus Kakkonen. Early chance for the Wild. Spurgeon with a tip on a rush that was saved. Parise gets his tribute. He gets an ovation from the crowd. I mentioned this morning that, for Parise, it's kind of a revenge game. Not towards the fans, not towards the organization, but more of a, hey, you guys dumped me, so I'm going to show that I can still play. And I thought Parise had a good game. The shots were 5-2 for the Wild at 8 minutes. Zuccarello fires one wide. Hartman had a shot deflect wide. And Varlamov showed no rust in that first period. So the Islanders, unlike their last few games, they're under pressure a lot in this game in the first period. The Wild press with 3 minutes left. Well, 3.5 minutes left. But then, in the final minute, it's Lee from Chara and Barzal at 19:41. So in what was a period that had a lot of shots, I don't know how many of them were really high-quality chances, but the Islanders come out of this with the lead in a period that Minnesota played quite well. So second period, Kaprizov fires one wide early. Varlamov denies Dumba. There was no rebound on that chance. Cizikas on a turnover fires high. Lee nearly gets his second of the game at that point. Wild get a power play. Gaudreau had a shot that was saved, and that power play is killed off. Bjugstad ends up scoring from Duhaime right around the middle of the game at 9:59 in the second period. It was a game that was a goal that was originally given to Duhaime, but they went back and they gave it to Bjugstad. Don't worry, Duhaime gets that back later. Rask nearly added another, and then Lee restores the lead for the New York Islanders from Barzal at 12:04. And so for Islander fans, they have to be looking at this and going, okay, Lee's getting it going, Barzal's scoring, and the goaltending for the Islanders has been the best in the league, arguably the best in the league so far this year. The Islanders then get a power play. That was a no, and that was the only power play in the game for the Islanders. But again, in an Islanders game, you don't see very many power plays for or against. If they're playing their game, you don't see very much for them or against them. The Wild that were then pressured in their own zone. Kaprizov had a rush chance, breaks his stick during that. He might have got one, but he breaks his stick there. Kakkonen then denied Martin in the closing seconds, about 10 seconds left in the second period. Third period, Hartman was saved twice, and then Duhaime was robbed after that. So this is Varlamov continuing his solid play. Dumba defends a Barzal chance. Pelech had a long shot that was held onto by Kakkonen. Parise had a net drive. That was saved. Nelson had a chance on a turnover. He fires that one wide. Of course, Brock Nelson came into tonight's game pretty hot in his last few games here. Kulikov had a net feed that didn't go. And then Hartman scores from Kulikov and Sturm at 7:17. So it's a tie game. And they went high glove on that one. And I know that because the next one is scored a little over 2 minutes later, is in 2 minutes and 1 second later, by Duhaime from Hartman and Dumba at 9:18. He went high glove on that one as well. So that's a team knowing exactly where to shoot on a goaltender, and it worked on those two occasions on Varlamov. Wild then get a power play, lots of chances on that. They are unsuccessful. The Islanders do kill it. Pressed by the Wild with 3.5 minutes left. Brodin defended a chance for Clutterbuck, and then with the net empty, at 18:13, Brodin puts the empty netter on his resume, and then Dumba adds to his as well with the empty netter at 19:11. That makes the score a little more lopsided than what it was in the game. Final score is 5-2. Minnesota goes to 8-3 on the season. Excellent start by Minnesota. And for the Islanders, they drop to 5-3-2 on this 13-game road trip. But again, the worst they can be at the end of this road trip is 5-6-2. And I think they take that, considering how long this road trip's been. So the shots were 14-10 Minnesota in the first, 9 apiece in the second, 16-2 Minnesota in the third. Yeah, Minnesota just took over in the third. Final shots 39-21 for the Wild. Power plays 0 for 1 for the Islanders, 0 for 2 for Minnesota. The hits were 16-8 for the Islanders. Varlamov saves 34 out of 37 at one end of the ice, and Kakkonen saves 19 out of 21 at the other. So, I mean, Varlamov ends up with very good numbers. The Wild just managed to find a way to beat him enough that they won the game. And that's what the Wild have been doing this year. And comeback victories, they're nothing new for Minnesota either. It is a bizarre season that they're having, but it's been fun to watch. Speaking of fun to watch, the Anaheim Ducks. So what St. Louis learned tonight is that Anaheim is a lot of fun to watch. And I remembered that I hadn't put the score on this as I went to the other board for the last game. And I'm like, oh, I'll remember to put the score on it before the video. I didn't. So it was Binnington versus Gibson, and Gibson had a rough start. The first shot at 13 seconds, Brandon Saad scores from Perron and Parayko. And I'll be honest, my first thought was, okay, it's a turnover. It's in the back of the net. This is going to be a long night for Anaheim. St. Louis comes into this one red hot. Going to be a long night for Anaheim. Falk then had a blast on another turnover, and that was saved. So you're looking at this and going, okay, another turnover by Anaheim, right? Binnington was sharp early. There was a press by the Ducks at 4.5 minutes. Comtois couldn't bury one, which is not news. Comtois is one of the most snake-bit players in the NHL. Has to be driving him crazy. Close call then for Shattenkirk. The Ducks get a power play. That was unsuccessful. Milano tries to pass one to Lundestrom. There was a near miss on that one. Lundestrom just couldn't get a hold of it. Then there's a net crash by the Ducks with a minute left. And you could see in this game, these guys don't like each other. A lot of dislike between these teams. Who knew? Anaheim and St. Louis. This happens when they play. Second period. The physicality of this game starts picking up early in the second period. The shots, or the hits in this one, I think are kind of low. They're way below this game, and yet it feels to me like maybe they were counting them a little bit weird. Or just, they weren't hits. They were just straight up, the kind of things after the whistle that don't count as hits, but it's definitely physical. Shots were 2-0 for the Blues at 4 minutes. Saad had a chance on a turnover. That was saved. So again, Anaheim's turning the puck over. And again, I'm watching and thinking, well, the Ducks have had a pretty good run. And then Sam Carrick, right? From Grant. These two have chemistry on the fourth line. Grew with the assist as well at 8:23. So there's your fourth line coming through for the Anaheim Ducks. And it was a tired Blues team. They had been on a long shift, and the Ducks took advantage. They tied the game. Scrappy at the Blues net after a save shortly after that. That was not unusual for tonight. Saad with a rush chance was saved. Gibson bounced back from that first goal. So he is not a goaltender that gets kind of mopey if he allows that goal in the first shot. He bounces right back. He shakes it off. Not a problem. Last minute, the Blues get a power play. Things are kind of scrummy as that penalty's called. I thought they might call something else. They didn't. Glove save then on Perron. And then at the horn, they were kind of jousting with one another. And nobody took off their glove and challenged another guy to a duel. I'm always disappointed that doesn't happen in hockey games. So third period, Gibson saves. The penalty kill was finished off early on there. The Ducks then get a power play and they score on it. And with this power play goal, I think this is their 12th of the year. It passed last year's total in 56 games. Their power play's top 10 in the NHL. Troy Terry, who gets his 8th goal, that's a new career high for him. From Milano and Fowler at 2:46. And suddenly, Anaheim's ahead. Then Drysdale to McTavish, near miss there. Game's getting even more chippy and physical and a lot more of you come here a minute. Oh yeah, you come here a minute. And then Steele scores his 3rd of the year from Lindholm and Delorier at 8:31. So Nick Delorier on the board too. I like Nick Delorier. 8th in a row where the Ducks have scored 3 or more goals. I don't know if they scored 3 or more goals in 8 games last year. And I'm not really half kidding with that. Like, their offense last year was not a thing. Gibson with a glove save then on Falk. They pulled the goaltender with 4.5 or a little over 4 minutes left because they had to. The Ducks call a timeout with 3:32 left, and then into the empty net with his first NHL goal. It's Grew from Terry and Lindholm at 19:12. So the Ducks win this one 4-1. They go to 6-4-3 on the season. And for Anaheim, 7-2-1. So there's 2 ways to look at this. Anaheim's won 6 out of 13 to start the season, or they're 6-4-3. And for Ducks fans, they'll go with their 6-4-3. So the shots in this one, 9-8 Anaheim in the first, 12-6 St. Louis in the second, 15-12 St. Louis in the third. Final shots, 35-27 for the Blues. Power plays, the Blues just had the one. They didn't score. Anaheim 1 for 2 on theirs. The hits were 27-15 for Anaheim. And Binnington saved 23 out of 26, while Gibson saved 34 out of 35. I don't know. The Ducks are kind of winning me over with results like this. And for the Blues, they found out tonight. Yeah, the Ducks are entertaining, and they have more of an attack this year than they had last year. Way more of an attack than they had last year. It's not even close. Now let's change boards and talk about the last game of the night. Now, Dallas and Vancouver. So who had the over on this game tonight? This ended up being a game full of more goals than I had expected. So for Dallas, they're going to come out of this one wanting to forget it. This is simply a game they're just going to want to forget and move on. Their next game is at home against Nashville. And I was surprised it was Hudobin, not Holtby. Just for storyline reasons, it would have been fun if it was Holtby. It was Hudobin versus Demko. Early press by the Stars. They didn't get shots on it, however. Garland comes out from behind the net. That shot was saved. Hamonic had a long shot that was saved as well. The Stars had a 3-on-2. Ben's chance was stopped during that. Hudobin makes the save on a Horvat break. Ben couldn't bury one, and then he had another opportunity. Couldn't bury that one either. Momentum was definitely with Dallas. The Stars get a power play. They had a shot 4 seconds into it, and then they'd score on it. Pavelski from Robertson and Hintz at 13:35. That is 10. 10 out of 12 games for Vancouver where they've allowed the first goal. If they can turn that around, they can absolutely start to maybe turn their season around as well. Now, the Stars also pressed for another after they got that first one. So, yeah, this is one of those cases where you get kind of nervous as a Canuck fan, right? We've seen this storyline. And then it was, did Pearson score before the period's out? And the answer is no. So we go to the second period, early, pressed by the Stars. Höglander with a near miss, and then the Canucks get a power play. Now, I mentioned the power play in the video I did on the Canucks yesterday. They improved the percentage today. Miller scores from Hughes and Besser at 2:19, unrelated. I may have to do a video on the Stars slow start. But that took 7 seconds into that power play that Miller makes it 1-1. Stars nearly made it 2-1 shortly thereafter. Defense was a little shaky tonight at both ends of the rink. Miller with a break. Khudobin makes the save on that. Demko then saved on Glendening. And then there was kneeing by Faksa on Podkolzin. And it was a pretty blatant knee by Faksa. There wasn't really much that happened after that to Faksa, but yeah, it's one of those things that you don't like to see in the game. And again, as a fan of both Dallas and Vancouver, I'm calling it as I see it. Yeah, that was definitely a knee. I don't know if they're going to find him or not. I don't know if anything's going to happen tomorrow. But yeah, I'm glad Podkolzin stays in the game and he's okay. On that power play, Vancouver made them pay for it. This is 2 power play goals in the same period. It's Pettersson from Hughes and Horvat at 6:37. And Quinn Hughes, great game by Quinn Hughes tonight. Khudobin didn't see that puck either. He didn't even react until it was already going by him. Podkolzin then got the next chance. It didn't go in, but Horvat's does. Horvat from Pearson and OEL at 8 minutes and 30 seconds, and that makes it 3-1. But Vancouver does make it difficult on themselves shortly thereafter. Glendening from Robertson and Suter at 9:38, and it was just the coverage on Glendening wasn't where you'd want it to be. And so, yeah, both defenses in this period and just in this game looked a little shaky. And I was like, okay, we're halfway through this game and the score's 3-2. Who saw that coming? I didn't. So then the Canucks go back to the power play. We end up with 1 minute and 11 seconds of a 5-on-3 for the Canucks. That's killed off. And again, with the 5-on-3, it looked like they weren't as set as the 5-on-4 was. Like there's more, they put more pressure on themselves. It's one of those things. You see it. The Leafs with that whole 2 minutes of 5-on-3 couldn't score on it. So the Canucks with 1 minute and 11, they couldn't score on theirs. The Stars pressed after the kill, but it's Podkolzin adding another. He scores from Garland and Horvat at 15:45, so that makes it 4-2. Demko then robbed Harley of his first goal as the Stars did try to answer that one. In the last minute, the Stars pressure. They draw themselves a power play. It ends up being a 4-minute penalty against OEL. He took 2 different penalties on the same play. So the first 3 minutes and 40 seconds of the third period, Dallas has the power play. First, they couldn't set up. That was for a while into that. And then Sagan fires one high and wide. But near the end of the double minor, Jamie Benn does put it in the net. So he scores from Suter and Heiskanen at 3 minutes and 23 seconds. And yes, that's Dallas's second power play goal out of 3 power plays. And remember, it's a double minor, so that counts as 2 power plays. So the penalty kill is still an issue for Vancouver, but tonight they overcame that. Pavelski then had a drive that was stopped. Khudobin denies Pettersson as the Canucks tried to add another. Höglander with a wraparound, that was saved. The Canucks get their 5th power play. Good cycle on that, but it's killed off. No shots for the Canucks. That's the thing with the cycle. The cycle looks great, but the cycle also means you're around the outside and you're not getting to the interior and you're not getting near the net. Yeah, a penalty kill will just skate and watch you pass it around the outside. No harm, no foul. Garland went into beast mode, but the Stars cleared it out. I love Connor Garland's heart and drive and determination. Hintz couldn't bury one. The Stars pressed. The Canucks get another power play, and they score on another power play. Yeah, it's JT Miller again from Hughes and Pettersson at 13:44. Don't look now, but Quinn Hughes is having a good year. Miller's having a good year. And for Pettersson, there's a goal here. There is an assist on this one, and then there's another assist that would follow that. I thought he had another assist in this as well, but it's okay. 3 points is pretty good. So Pettersson gets going. And Ben had a break. Demko and Hamonic made the save on that. That was nice because Hamonic had his stick behind Demko just in case. Goaltender gets pulled with 3 minutes left. And Besser eventually gets the empty netter. The first try for Besser actually hit the post. So kind of a nerve-wracking moment there because Besser's been fighting it on and off too. So he gets the empty netter. Pettersson with the assist at 17:39. So for Pettersson, 3 points. For Hughes, 3 points. I believe Horvat had 3 points as well. Miller with the 2 goals. And that's what you want to see if you're a Canuck fan. Not so much if you're a Dallas fan. The final score is 6-3. The Canucks go to 5-6-1. They're 2-4 on the homestand. So now they have Anaheim coming in on Tuesday to end this homestand. The best they can do is 3-4. The Dallas Stars are 4-5-2. And it's been a rough start to the season for Dallas, and this is a game that's going to have them alarmed about their penalty kill. The shots in this one, 11 apiece in the first, 16-8 Vancouver in the second, 9 apiece in the third. Final shots, 36-28 for Vancouver. Power plays, Dallas 2 for 3, Vancouver 3 for 6. The hits were 21-15 for Dallas. Hudobin saves 30 out of 36. It's an ugly stat line. I'm not going to say it necessarily would have been better with Holtby in there, but, I mean, Holtby against the Canucks, it just felt like that would have been awesome to see just for the storyline alone. Demko saves 25 out of 28. Another solid outing for him, but he didn't need to have a .950 save percentage to get the win tonight. Dallas scored 3 goals and Vancouver still wins. It's a rare night. But there you go. So let me know your thoughts regarding tonight's games in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And remember, it is Hockey Fights Cancer Month. So in the comment section, or not in the comment section, but in the description below this video, and it is that little, they kind of hide it now. They don't, it's not like it used to be on YouTube where it was really obvious. But in the description below the video, there will be a link as well to the Hockey Fights Cancer charity that I'm supporting, and we'll continue to talk about basically right up until Christmas as well. And yeah, so if you can give, that'd be great. And yeah, thank you guys so much for all your support. I hope everybody's having a wonderful, safe evening. I apologize this is going up late. There's been a lot of delays and stuff going on. And yeah, other stuff that I'll talk about another time. But yeah, we get through it. We get the review done. And I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow, where there's just 3 games, and they're all early games tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.